Yo, what is going on, guys? Welcome to my first mock, and I have a quick little story for you. So I did a whole recording. I had like an hour worth of recording that I was chopping down, and I came up with this big, lengthy mock draft for you guys. That was probably about 30 minutes, and I said, fuck that. I think we're gonna go with like a turbo mock, and it's just makes it so much easier for me to go through and do it fast. So this first one's going to be a little bit choppy, but as we go along, my next mock draft will be much easier, much smoother. I think it went really well. I feel like you guys don't need to know every single thought that I'm thinking of, so I kind of chopped it up for you guys and made it really easy to digest. Nobody wants to watch all that. I don't even want to watch all that, so we're going to go with like these turbo mocks and see if we like them. I had a lot of fun doing it. I made some really cool picks, some questionable picks. Hopefully you guys like all of them. All right, boys, enjoy the video, baby. First on the clock with the 101, we have the Chicago Bears. They're going to end up trading back with Indy. Indy's going to move up. We already have word that Indy is super interested in moving up to the 101 for the quarterback that they want, whether it's CJ Stroud or Bryce Young. This looks to be the case. They're going to end up going with one of the quarterbacks. So we're not going to get into the details of the trades because that's too wishy-washy anyway. So we're just going to force trade these. So we're going to end up taking Bryce Young, Indianapolis Colts, 101. They trade right up. Next up, we get Houston, undoubtedly going quarterback. We're going to go with CJ Stroud for them. This is just the home run pick. You get the second best quarterback in the class. Maybe it's their favorite one and they get it at the second pick overall. That's just their guy for the future, and they look to start building off of that with their new head coach and their new offense. Arizona could go a million different ways. I have a theory that they're going to trade off Kyler, but for this mock, we're just going to give them Will Anderson. They just lost J.J. Watt. The year before, they lost Chandler Jones. We're just going to get the best player available. Next up, we get the Chicago Bears. They just traded back, got a million picks. Who knows the details, but they traded back to the 4th overall, and they're going to take Jalen Carter. That's their best player available. That's just a position that they need. They need to help out that defense a bunch. They're just going to get a bunch of good players with those picks. Next on the clock, we have Seattle. They're just going to go ahead and get an edge rusher. Their defense needs a bit of help, and their offense actually played a lot better than people were expecting, so they're just going to get a really, really good player in Miles Murphy. Detroit's on the clock, and they seem to want to stick with Jared Goff, so they use this opportunity to trade back for a team that's looking for a quarterback. So we forced a trade with Carolina. Carolina's moving up ahead of some guys for a quarterback. They're going to end up taking Will Levis. The Raiders are a team that right now it seems like they're really looking into the free agent quarterbacks. We're going to go ahead and give them an offensive tackle. You know, God forbid Tom Brady goes to the Raiders. They need a tackle. That team needs so many positions, so we're just going to give them best player available for their team. That's Paris Johnson. The Atlanta Falcons, they're kind of in a slow rebuild, it feels like. They're so far away from competing. They don't love the quarterbacks on the board anyway. And they're actually so bad against the pass, they can't get to the quarterback at all. So we're just going to go ahead and give them Tyree Wilson here. Detroit's on the clock. They just traded back, so they accrued a bunch of picks with that trade back. And they're going to go with a corner. Jeff Okudah hasn't been it. I love him, but you really need somebody to step in there and be available and play at a high level. Next up, you got Philly. This is a team that can afford to make a mistake in the draft. So they're going to go ahead and get ahead of the curve. They have good corners now, but, you know, Darius Slay is aging a little bit. So they're going to go ahead and take an upside swing at Keely Ringo. He's not my favorite corner, but his upside is crazy. So if they can smash on this pick and let him sit for a year and learn, I think this is a really good spot to take him. Tennessee's a team that has so many questions. Their offensive line has been lacking, so we're going to go ahead and give them a left tackle. And Peter Skoronski is someone who actually has flexibility there. I like Taylor Lewan, but he's never healthy. So we're just going to give him Peter Skoronski. If Taylor Lewan can be healthy, Skoronski can play left guard. And if not, then Peter Skoronski, he's just going to be a franchise left tackle. That's a team that just needs good players. Houston's on the clock, and not often do you get a chance to take the best receiver in the class at pick 12. So we're going to go ahead and give him Quentin Johnston. Now, that's my favorite receiver. They're about to lose Brandon Cooks. He has no interest in being with the team. So I feel like you pair Quentin Johnston with, you got CJ Stroud coming in. You got a great X receiver. So that's a good kickstart to their rebuild. The New York Jets have been struggling with Mekhi Becton for like the past 3 years, it feels. So they're going to go ahead and take Broderick Jones. And sadly, that's right ahead of the Patriots. That screws everything up for the Patriots with this next pick. The Jets really need somebody at left tackle who could be healthy, available, play at a high level, and I think Broderick Jones does that. That's my dream pick for the Pats. This is all intentional why I took Broderick right here. Next up, we got my beloved Pats. You know me, I am not going to be happy if we get out of the first round without an offensive tackle, and there's no one here that is worth that 14th pick. I don't care who it is. They're just not worth the 14th pick. So maybe we're going to take a little look and see if we can trade back a bit and put ourselves into a position to gain draft capital and also take a tackle. There's one quarterback still on the board, and there's a team that definitely needs a quarterback. Tom Brady's leaving Tampa Bay, so who's calling? Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay is going to trade up with New England, and they're going to be looking at this guy right here, Anthony Richardson. Tampa Bay is on the clock. The Patriots just got a bunch of picks for moving back, and they're going to take Anthony Richardson. Now, is that like an upside swing? Of course, but that team is so shambles. They don't have a head coach. Tom Brady ain't going back. That franchise, they are down here now. I know they're in the playoffs, but like they got to get that quarterback on the roster ASAP. Green Bay's on the clock right now, and I'm going to make this so easy for them. We're just going to go ahead and give them a really, really good slot receiver in JSN, Jackson Smith-Njigba, Ohio State. No matter who's going to be quarterback for the Packers next year, they're just going to be very grateful for this pick, and I believe that he's going to be a very premier slot receiver. Definitely some good upside. The Washington Commanders are a team that feel like they're a couple years away, so they're just going to try and get as many good players as possible. Ryan Brzee, although the Washington Commanders have a good defensive line, they're just going to keep adding to it. This is a great player, and he's at a really good discount here at 16. Now, the Pittsburgh Steelers is a team that definitely needs an offensive tackle, so I was very happy that the Patriots got the opportunity to jump ahead of them in the draft. But there's no tackles that we'd like here for them, so they're going to go ahead and take Joey Porter Jr. He is the son of Joey Porter Sr., the Steelers legend. Detroit's a team that needs a lot more help on defense. Their offense is so high-powered, one of the best ones in the NFL this year. So we're going to go ahead and help out Aiden Hutchinson on the opposite side with a player that I'm really high on that hasn't had the best college career, but he was such a good recruit. He's got freaky measurables. So we're just going to stick him on the opposite side, and he's at bare minimum going to help against the run. Now here we sit with New England after trading back. We didn't like what we saw at 14, so we traded back. We got a bunch of draft capital, and now we sit looking at Anton Harrison. Now Anton might be a little rich for all the draft analysts, but to me, I think he's a very good day one starter. At the very minimum, he's a really, really good pass blocker, and that's something that we've kind of lacked on the left side of the line, especially this year with Trent Brown not even trying. But he comes from a school that produces very good offensive tackles, good interior offensive linemen as well. It's just a very, very good school to come from, and he's just had a great career with Oklahoma. Next up, we have Seattle. Now, this is a team that just got Myles Murphy. They just lost Jordan Brooks, who's been pretty good at linebacker. I think he just blew out his knee, so we're going to go ahead and give him a linebacker. We're going to go ahead and give him somebody that I'm very high on, and that's Drew Sanders. Now, Drew Sanders is someone that you guys might not hear about till later in the draft process, but he is a freak athlete, 6'5", 240 pounds, jack of all trades. He gets to the quarterback, he can cover people, he can sit in zones. He's just a very sure tackler. He transferred out of Alabama, so I got to watch him firsthand. Then he went to Arkansas and had one of the craziest seasons I've ever seen from an inside linebacker, and he's getting no buzz. This guy is amazing. He's definitely a sleeper Patriots pick too. I'm a big fan of him. But yeah, we're going to go. Pete Carroll's going to take his guy. You know he likes his freak athletes. Jacksonville's on the clock next, and this is a team that definitely needs secondary. I like Tyson Campbell a lot as a cornerback one. I think he had a great year this year, but I think you just add to the room in general, and we're going to go ahead and take Cam Smith, who's falling a little bit here. This is a great pick for them. This will improve their secondary a lot really fast, and at 21, this is like a no-brainer. We aren't making this pick any harder than it has to be for Daniel Jones. We're going to go ahead and just give him Jordan Addison. So Baltimore here, it's literally the same as the last story with the Giants, but swapped. So you got Rashad Bateman already on the roster. He is your X. We're going to go ahead and give him Josh Downs. He's going to slide right into the slot. Now for the most controversial pick in this entire draft, I'm going to go ahead and give the Chargers Bijan Robinson. Austin Eckler's 28 years old, and he's been begging for someone to take the workload for a long time now. Probably the last 2 or 3 seasons he's been like, somebody help me out. And they've consistently drafted shitty guys. We're going to go ahead and give him somebody that is very similar in skill set. Get him on the roster for a full year before Eckler is all old. You don't want him to be the guy when he's too old. You know, you want to get a year ahead of the curve. And we're going to go ahead and give him Bijan Robinson. Like, he's going to be the bell cow as soon as Eckler's ready to take a step back. I think this is a fair pick. It's a very similar skill set, and it'll be a smooth transition from Eckler to Bijan. One of my favorite picks in the entire draft here will be Dallas, and they're going to be taking Brian Branch. Now, the best way to describe Brian Branch is Micah Parsons of the secondary. This guy can do literally everything. All he does is get after the ball, tackles for losses, solo tackles all the time. He can play the slot, he can play free safety, he can play boundary corner. He is literally everything. I feel like that's what the Cowboys need outside of Micah Parsons and like Trayvon Diggs. They need another big time playmaker. Cincinnati, we're going to go ahead and give him Michael Mayer. He's going to end up going in the first round, and I feel like Cincinnati needs a tight end. They get Michael Mayer. Maybe he's just like a red zone guy for a bit, but he's a very good player. At pick 26, I think that's a no-brainer for him. Minnesota's going to go with one of my favorite linebackers in this class in Trenton Simpson. They don't have a whole lot behind Eric Kendricks, and he's getting up there in age. This is just a guy who can add to that second level. He can cover, he can tackle. He's really just a very, very good linebacker that's going to be able to slide right in and have a role. Denver's going to go ahead and just take a tackle here. I feel like that's the safest pick for that team. Their defense is great. Let's hope their quarterback ends up being good, but we're going to take DeJuan Jones for them. Buffalo ends up in a great spot here because this is a team that desperately needs a wide receiver too to be able to stretch the defense outside of Diggs. Now, Jalen Hyatt is somebody that's going to end up going in the first round. He can run a 4.2. He was one of the best receivers in college ball this year. You just pair Josh Allen's arm with Jalen Hyatt on them go balls. He's going to be great. Kansas City, they're going to go ahead with Jahmyr Gibbs. All I'm hearing is that he's going to be in the first round this year. Going to run a 4.3. I'm just looking at the way that they use Jerick McKinnon. How is that guy 30 years old and the best running back on that roster? We're going to pair Pat Mahomes with Jahmyr Gibbs' skill set, and he's just going to catch so many balls out of the backfield. And even if he's running between the tackles, he's going to be better than anybody on that roster. Now, for the very last pick of the first round, we're going to give the Philadelphia Eagles DJ Ojulari. They were looking for Robert Quinn to come in and just be a really good edge for them. We're just going to give him a good player at the end of the first round to just fill that position. Alright boys, hopefully you guys liked it. I'm sure you guys didn't like all my picks, and there's some controversial ones in there. I really enjoy doing this stuff and just see how these mock drafts progress. Who goes up, who rises, who declines. Hopefully you guys had fun watching. Hopefully I got you all the players that you guys wanted for your team. And if not, maybe in the next one, baby. Peace.